Hi folks, you're with Tacitus today at your Pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the diversity, equity, and inclusion roles that are advertised, like on job boards, that sort of thing. Just as a backdrop to this, and I've mentioned this in other videos before, there's around 80% plus of the best paid jobs in Australia are government jobs or NGO jobs. Now, this is an exact reversal of what it was 25 years ago. The NGO jobs and the government jobs was the lowest paid, relative to the private sector. Now, that's completely reversed now, which I think indicates the changing nature of the economy, but also indicates that government work, NGO work, which is a metaphor for enforcing the globalist project, they're now the best paid jobs. But here's one this is for a private firm, but they rely pretty much 100% on government contracts. So so they're looking for the chief officer of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and they want to create a workplace culture that values diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's a critical role and reports directly to the CEO and has what looks like veto powers over the other members of the C-suite, such as the chief sales officer or the chief marketing officer or whatever. So it seems to be quite, so it's implied here, seems to be quite a senior role again. Almost two IC, deputy chief executive officer, the way it's written up. I doubt it's going to work that way in reality, but that's how it's written up here. So now the weasel words begin. You've got to. So I'm reading off the job advert. You have to develop and implement comprehensive diversity, equity, and inclusion strategies that aligns with the company's values and goals now and into the future. Lead the design and delivery of diversity, equity, inclusion that will include extensive training programs and initiatives to assure all employees have a deep understanding of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And this is the interesting one, that this person will sit on top of the recruitment process to ensure that the recruitment process reflects diversity, equity, and inclusion, and also the internal promotion of people who, again, must be diverse and reflect equity and inclusion. They have to develop cross-functional teams and committees. So you can imagine a bureaucracy it's going to be running right here. And these cross-functional teams and policy committees must ensure that they practice, promote, and live the lived experience of diversity, equity, and inclusion. KPIs, metrics, benchmarks, and so on must be instituted and audited to ensure the effect of the diversity programs, and to maintain and create external partnerships with external consultancies, the NGOs, gender studies departments, that sort of thing. And you must be a thought leader internally, externally, and dealing with the media on talking about diversity, equity, inclusion. So what qualifications do you need? Well, you need to have a degree in, wait for this, gender studies or diversity studies. I didn't know there's such a thing as diversity studies, but you must have a degree in that. And you must have 10 years experience in the diversity industry, whatever that means. I mean, hey, I've been waving placards on the street for climate change for 10 years, baby. That's it. So You must have a knowledge of diversity, equity, inclusion. Well, that's you must have leadership skills, the ability to influence, inspire others. You must be able to communicate. They're saying here that they would prefer if you come from one of the big international consulting firms would be a preference here. So now, if you look at this pays just on 5 times the average wage. So with this job, you would be in the top the top 0.5% of income earners in the country. So that's about where you'd fall on this one. There are also various travel benefits and so on. But this is about it. When you look at what an engineer with 10 years experience would get paid, and a diversity, equity, inclusion person who's only had to have 10 years in the industry, they don't actually have to do anything. They only have to have a degree that no one ever fails in, so they can be the most affirmative action sort of individual that ever existed. And they're paid more than double what an engineer would be paid in that same category, or as in having approximately 10 years experience. So this person needs much lesser level of experience. Really, an association with the activist industry is really all they need. They need to have a bullshit arts degree, sociology type degree in discipline no one ever fails in, and they can be making double what an engineer would be paid who's had a much longer course, a much more difficult and rigorous discipline, and much more experience. And they're building bridges and roads and that sort of thing, whereas this person's doing fucking nothing. And here they are getting quite well paid. And again, with all the benefits thrown in, they'd be doing very, very nicely. Now, as I scroll sort of through here, looking at these diversity, equity, inclusion officers, and here's another one, and I'm just reading through it now. It's the same thing, gender studies degree, and that's really it. You'll be literate in the language of diversity, equity, inclusion. It means you've got the buzzwords and you've got the acronyms all sorted out. But it doesn't actually sort of list hard skills. Just it's all touchy feely and so on. So we're talking very low quality people are going to be shoehorned into this. It's almost going to be it's going to be a gift in effect. It's going to be just a piece of patronage for somebody who's got the right knows the right people, got the right connections. It's very sad. And if you look at other roles here, it's the same sort of thing. And looking at what far as I can tell will be very low quality people, all of whom themselves would be affirmative action. Really, you could call it as director of affirmative action, or director of hiring low quality people, or director of promoting anything other than straight white males. I mean, you give it a number of names. Diversity, equity, inclusion is one of them. But again, you've got this thing where the government jobs, all the best paid jobs in our government jobs. I was looking at a district or regional governor here in Australia, and there's diversity, equity, inclusion advisor that they, and again that's paying serious money, and again they just want affirmative action, sort of black lesbian really to adorn the governor's office. It's down to that, but that's where things are at now. Jobs in the private sector, when it comes to the best paid jobs in the private sector make up 1 in 5 or 1 in 6 of the best paid jobs in Australia at the moment, and have done for quite some years. And that's I mean, you can see where the economy is going when that sort of thing is now standard fare in the not only the employment landscape, but the grading of who gets paid what and what they do to get paid. So people are doing useless parasitic type activities and getting paid handsomely for it. Whereas again, the engineer building the bridge or the highway is getting paid half that much. You've been a Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for listening.